Whenever you go, of course, you're going to shoot Old Faithful. And so this is Old Faithful, but it's in the wintertime, and it's very, very challenging and a little expensive to get in there. Just a little bit of the behind-the-scenes story. If you do go to Yellowstone in the wintertime and you want to get down here, the only way to get down here is by a ticket on a snowcat or the rental of a snowmobile. And I took a snowcat, and it's kind of like a bus ride, but it takes 6 hours and it goes 15 miles an hour or something, because it's got big tractor treads and it's going over all the snow. And you know, it's like a ridiculous price for a normal 6-hour bus ride because it's in this very unusual environment. But one of the things that I did is, I scouted it out, and the nice thing about Old Faithful is there is a boardwalk that you can shoot from in a complete circle. So you can choose any direction you want in which to shoot it. And it's very predictable too, which is one of the great things. I mean, they have this thing timed down to, it's every hour and a half, give or take 10 minutes, which is a pretty nice little tidy window in which to plan your shoot.
Right.
And so the two things that I planned on this shoot, or for this particular series, is where I would shoot it and when I would shoot it. And this is the last eruption of the day.
Okay.
And so I'm getting the light as low on the horizon as possible. I positioned myself so that the sun was directly to my right-hand side, so that I would be getting the best side light possible. And actually, is that correct? Yes, that is correct with the shadows. The shadows were throwing me off a little bit there. So the sun is coming straight from the right-hand side. And so I went around to that part of the boardwalk, and one of the benefits here is that Old Faithful sits up a little bit so that when you shoot it, you can't see the boardwalk behind it where all the other people are.
You can't see the people either.
No, and so it looks like you're in the complete wild there. You have a very natural scene. Now the question was, what do I want in the foreground? Because I had probably 40 yards, maybe 50 yards that I could run back and forth. And for those of you who've been to Old Faithful, you'll know that when it erupts, you got maybe 2 minutes while it's erupting.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is that it really looks good for like the first 20 seconds. It's kind of like fireworks. You got a few minutes, but generally you better get the best shots off right towards the beginning. And so what I did is I got there probably half an hour early.
Okay.
And then I started walking along the boardwalk going, okay, that's a good spot. And then there's another one here and another one here. So I'm going to start here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and then I'll come back here and I'll come back here, and I'll get 5 different shots in that 2-minute window.
You plan it out.
Everything was planned almost to the seconds. And the fact
Very John Greengo of you.
I'm trying to get the most number of shots out of here because I couldn't judge at that point in time what the best picture was going to be.
Okay.
I knew that it was kind of in this realm of pictures, but I didn't know what it was going to be. So I thought that these 2 little divots in the snow would be kind of interesting because they created shadow shapes. I don't know, footprints of shadows. So this is shot number 1, and it's a little weak, in my opinion, in the foreground. Not real strong. I found this other little clump. Now this one looks kind of nice. I kind of like this one. This is one of my favorite shots. And notice how Old Faithful has a little bit more, here it's early on in the eruption, and now it's got a little bit more symmetry to it. It's got some nice billowing clouds going on, and now we have some nice, interesting texture in the foreground. The other thing to note is that my camera is really low to the ground.
Okay.
And I believe on these, if I recall correctly, I did something very unusual, and I handheld the camera.
Whoa.
Wow, and that was because I was wanting to move the camera around so dramatically during this short period of time, and the fact that I had full sun. I'm shooting at probably f/16, and I was probably at something like 125th of a second, so it's very easily handholdable. I'm also using a polarizer. Okay, so this is...
Tell people what that is for people who know.
So a polarizer is a filter that reduces reflections, and when you shoot with side light like this, it gives you a more enhanced blue in the sky. So this is what's really helping that blue. And so I love that blue and white offset there. So this is picture number 2. This is where we're going to have more than 2 pictures. I moved to another location, thought that it was kind of interesting, but now I see that the previous picture, I think, has a more interesting foreground.
I agree. I think this is too busy in the foreground for me.
It doesn't, it kind of has some extra brown in there, which is not really interesting, and it doesn't have enough snow there.
Yeah, for me, the previous one, the snow in the one in the previous one matches the eruption. So it's kind of
Right.
in terms of
kind of
the
those billowing
shapes
clouds.
and the billowing clouds
Right.
in the foreground
Right.
and in
But I just wanted to show people that even
Yeah.
though I get a shot that I kind of like, I continue shooting because I don't know when the best moment's going to be. And so at this point, I kind of run out of foregrounds to shoot, and I notice that the steam coming out really has a nice symmetry, and the billowing clouds look really nice. So I forget about the foreground
Okay.
and just go straight
Wow.
with the
Well, that's
intensity
dramatic.
of it. And so there's no foreground, and so we have some nice shapes, and this is totally due to side lighting. If that light was middle of the day, if it was over my shoulder, you would not be able to see these shadows on here.
Gotcha.
And so I decided to take this image and just try a little experiment with it. And so I turned it black and white. I added a little bit of contrast, and this is the one that I really like. And I've gone a little heavy on the contrast. I mean, to be honest with you, it's like maybe Ansel Adams. You know, it kind of reminds me of the intense blacks that he has in some of his black and white landscapes. And so the sky in the background has almost gone completely black. And I know that's not reality.
Right.
But I kind of like this version. I don't mind the color version. I think that's nice as well. But this ended up being my favorite version just because it's got those great billowing clouds in there.
Nice.
And so there was a lot of planning that went into this, but by no means did I plan the shot.
It's very, very dramatic. And for me, having those trees down there just makes it even more dramatic because of the scale and the
Right, you get a sense of it
Yeah.
with the scale there.